today's chapter is chapter 4, Energy of Life. So in this chapter, we're going to talk about, how do cells stay alive, basically? How do they get energy? How do you get energy in your body? Next chapter is photosynthesis. And then after that, chapter 6 is cellular respiration. We will touch upon cellular respiration a little bit today, but we will go in detail when we cover chapter 6. For chapter 5, we will go in detail for photosynthesis. I will be sending out a few videos for you guys to watch before our next lecture. It's a YouTube video just to have a basic understanding of photosynthesis. So please look out for the email. Okay, so in this chapter, like I said, we're gonna answer questions like, how do cells stay alive? They do metabolism. How do they get energy in body? So when you eat food, the food's getting broken down, and then your body starts using that energy that's coming from the food to, do work, to maybe move your muscles. Even like I said last time, you'll be brain dead if you didn't have energy or ATP. That's the currency for the energy. So one thing I want you to know is, what is energy? How do you define energy? Energy is defined as the ability to do work, to move matter. Matter is, again, atoms, molecules, anything. So that's matter. So energy is ability to do work. To do anything, you need energy. Even to talk, you need energy. So it has different forms. There is potential energy and there's kinetic energy. You might have heard this before. If you're taking chemistry, they're probably going in a lot more detail. Can you guys briefly maybe tell me if you guys know what potential energy is and what kinetic energy is? So maybe what is the word potential tells you, potential energy?
Future.
Future, right? So it's stored energy. So if you wanted to define it, you would say potential energy is stored energy. It's stored inside chemical bonds. Another thing is concentration gradient across the membrane. We're going to focus on this a lot today. I will explain this in detail. And then there's kinetic energy. So this person on the bike here has potential energy. As he comes down, that's energy in motion. That's kinetic energy. So energy is being released, and that's kinetic energy. And kinetic energy examples are light, sound waves, movement of atoms and molecules, muscle contraction. When you're contracting your muscles, you're using energy. That's energy in motion. So those are two types of energy. This is a review slide. We've seen this in chapter 1, I think, or 2. So here we have the sun, and the sunlight is used by the plants to do photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is when they're using sunlight to make food, basically. So they take the energy from the sun and do photosynthesis. And then this deer is feeding on this plant here. So it's basically taking energy from the plant. And at each stage, what I want you to notice, you see these arrows going up. That's heat energy. At each stage, when these things happen, there's some energy that's being lost and it's going back to the environment. So it's going back to the environment as heat energy. So some of it is being lost. So this is potential energy. So chemical energy is a potential energy that's available for to do work, basically. But if it's in motion, that's kinetic energy. Another thing I want you to know, energy, it's neither destroyed, so it cannot be destroyed or converted, basically. So here, this heat energy that's disordered, it cannot be converted back to the useful form of energy. It's being lost. So there's one more thing. So it's never created or destroyed. Just make sure maybe you do underline there. So energy is never created or destroyed might be one of the multiple choices. So heat energy is lost, and that heat energy that's going back to the environment, it's random, it's disordered. There's no order to it. And that's known as entropy. That's next slide. So that's entropy. Entropy is a measure of randomness or disorder of the universe. This light bulb here is intact, so it's ordered. And if it breaks down, there's no order to this. So that's entropy, disorder and randomness. So breaking things down, that's entropy. Have you guys heard about Big Freeze? Big Freeze that they talk about? So you guys know that the universe started from Big Bang. And currently they're saying that the universe is continuously expanding. It's going to continue to expand, and maybe in billions and billions of years. And since it keeps expanding, everything is going to be basically pulled apart, all the atoms, even the subatomical particles, and there's going to be no order to it. It's just going to be random, and it's just going to be, there's going to be nothing there. So that's what they call big freeze. Since the heat energy is constantly being lost to the universe and heat energy is disordered, the entropy of the universe is increasing. So that's why they say, because the universe is expanding, the entropy, the disorderness, the disorder and the randomness is increasing. So that's entropy. I'll give you one more example of entropy. So chemical reactions, they can require energy, or they can release energy. So they can require energy input, or they can release energy. So here I have carbon dioxide, water, and energy is required to basically get glucose and oxygen here in this reaction. In this reaction, oxygen and glucose is broken down and energy is released. Basically, let's say you eat some sugar, glucose, you're breathing in oxygen. It's going to react and it's going to release some energy, give you ATP, and then carbon dioxide is going to be the waste product. You breathe it out, and then the water. So again, reactions can release energy, or reactions can require energy. So energy requiring reaction is photosynthesis. That's next chapter. Energy releasing reaction is cellular respiration. This is cellular respiration equation here. And that's chapter 6. Here, there are Amish people building a barn here. There's an order to it. And here, this is showing a building collapsing. The gravity is basically pulling it down, and that's randomness disorder. So there's high entropy here versus here, there's an order to it. Any questions? Give me thumbs up if no questions. No questions? Okay, so next thing I want you to know is oxidation reduction reactions. So oxidation and reduction, have you guys heard about it before? No? Anybody taking chemistry? George? Forrest? What
Yes,
is
ma'am.
George, what is oxidation?
It's been a while, so I forgot.
Okay. So oxidation, electrons. So it has to do with electrons. Either they're being lost or they're being gained. If you gain an electron that's negatively charged, it's a reduction. So that's how they name it. Sometimes students think, oh, why it's named a reduction when it's gaining electron? When it's gaining electron, because they're negatively charged, it's getting more negative. So that's why it's called a reduction. And oxidation is the loss of electrons from an atom molecule, and these reactions will release energy. This photo, I don't want you to worry about it too much today. We will go over this when we go over cellular respiration for chapter 6. This is called electron transport chain. So this is basically a system that's transporting electrons, and each time that happens, energy is being released. So we will cover this for chapter 6. Oxidation and reduction, does that make sense to everybody? Oxidation and reduction?
Yes, ma'am. For me.
Okay, so reduction is the gain of electrons again, and oxidation is loss of electrons. Forrest, I saw your question. So it's loss of electrons from an atom or molecule. When you lose an electron, you lose the negative charge. So this is called oxidation. I want to show you some examples. So oxidize. So what does it mean to oxidize? So here, this is oxidation of iron. It's rusting because it's in contact with the oxygen in the environment. It's going to rust. That's oxidation here. You can also see this in food. Here, this apple has oxidation there. Anybody knows? So you can see it in other food too, like I think avocado. So you can see that in there too. Anybody knows how to prevent that?
I think it's like lime or lemon.
Lemon, right? So lemon, because it's acidic, it's going to break down or basically make bonds when it gets mixed with that, and then that's going to prevent this. So this is that's going to prevent the oxidation. And acids, they usually dissolve things, and that's because they're breaking the bonds. So if there's bonds happening with the oxygen in the air, it's probably breaking that, and that's how you can prevent your food from oxidizing, basically. Also, I want to show you one more thing. Jack is Pepin. So this person, he is our national treasure, one of them. He's a really good cook. He makes this French dish of apples, basically, and he uses lemon and pepper there, and that's going to prevent oxidation. So that's an example of that. Also, I think that's all. Also, some of the metals, they tarnish. So you see rusting, that's oxidation. Tarnishing is also oxidation.